Always.
Okay.
Of course we're alive. Well, hey, friends, this is Bobby Shanks dressed up today as
Rip from Yellowstone.
Yellowstone.
The famous Rip.
From the Dutton Ranch.
Yes.
What are you supposed to be?
Well, first of all, I'm Donna Mitchell with Guaranteed Rate Mortgage.
Yeah.
But, okay, so when you said you were going to be Rip, I was like, okay, so like I should be the counterpart of Rip, which would be Beth Dutton. But like, okay,
Yeah, no.
So she's tall and bitter and angry all the time. She's a chain smoker. She drinks hard liquor. She cusses like a sailor. I'm like, okay, I can't do it.
She takes baths in horse troughs too.
Nice. Yeah. So I was like the
Just saying.
anti-Beth. So I was like, okay, I'll just be like, because this is you. Like on a regular basis.
Yeah,
you
this
wear
is
hat.
actually me.
I know.
Kind of on a daily basis anyway.
Yeah. Like, so this was a very natural costume for you. So I'm like, what's a natural costume for me?
You're totally a cheerleader.
Yeah, right? So I was like, I'm going to wear my cheerleader outfit.
This is how we should dress every day from now on.
Right? That's kind of what we do. That is funny.
So
you do make a really good cowboy.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
I could have a lot of fun with that, but I'll try to keep it PG today.
You had, not necessarily in ranching, but as a farmhand, you've had a lot of experience.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so. I have done some like cattle herding, horsebacking, artificial insemination.
With animals.
Well,
it sounded a little odd.
Thanks for clarifying, but yes. Okay. I'm not really qualified by, you know what, I'm not going to touch that.
Moving on.
But the probably the most difficult
Okay, is it hard to talk with the toothpick in?
No, am I stuttering?
I don't know. I just did when you swallow it. I know, right?
That's why okay. So I'll never forget, I was in high school, and actually I've got two of these. I'll just do the one.
Okay.
I had to castrate a whole trailer of piglets. And let me tell you, the process of castrating a little piglet takes about 2 seconds, but it pretty much lift up by the legs. You've got a hook blade. Iodine, hook blade, iodine, throw it back in the trailer. That's pretty much the process. Oh my gosh. It is grueling.
Did they squeal?
Oh my.
Like there's no tomorrow?
Just imagine. Just try to imagine.
No, I don't want to imagine. Let's talk about something else. That sounds absolutely horrible.
That's a little too gory Halloween. Let's talk about something fun and cheerleadery.
Trunk or treats.
Oh yeah, trunk or treats. Those are fun.
Yes, and there are so many good ones, and it's like, drink your coffee.
Yeah, before I take you to the train station, I gotta drink my coffee.
You got any bourbon in there?
Oh, of course.
Yes. Yeah. So trunk or treats are a great way to have your kids out for a fun time. It's safe. You can support your local, like schools are doing them, churches are doing them.
Okay, so our Fox
Elementary School has one. We wrote down the date. It's October 21st.
Yep.
And theirs is an evening, so it's 6 to 8 o'clock.
Yep.
First Baptist in Arnold is October 30th. They do have a huge one. And theirs is a daytime thing. I think they usually have like some rides and blow up stuff.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's like 3 to 6. So it's like a fall festival.
Deal.
I think theirs is more fall festival-ish.
Doesn't the city of Arnold actually do
I think they still do the big one.
Like at Lowe's?
No, that moved to Arnold Park quite some time ago.
Okay.
So I'm not quite sure on that one.
Yeah. So definitely get out there.
Speaking of Arnold Park though too, and speaking of supporting your local community, this Saturday morning is the Behind the Badge 5K run that supports the Arnold Police. Yeah, it's their second one. So I ran last year as well. The first one, and then this one is the second annual 5K Behind the Badge pumpkin run, supporting the
pumpkin run. What do you do? Run with a pumpkin?
It's Halloween, so there's pumpkins and candy, and they encourage people to dress up so you can like be in a costume and run. I remember running, and there was like a girl that was like full on in like this Wonder Woman costume with the corset and everything. And I was like, how is she running in that?
Oh, how do you breathe?
I know, right? But it's a great run. It supports the local police. Super cool. So come on out Saturday morning. 5K. The weather's supposed to be crazy amazing. Yeah.
It's going to be warm.
Yeah, it's going to be like in the 70s again. So it's a great time to get out and support your local police officers.
You know,
yes.
People don't know this, but actually hanging right here in our office, we have fire, EMT, police, and then American flag, and then the state of Missouri flag. And one thing that I really like about our area, and I know that it's kind of a trend, but in our specific area, northern Jefferson County, the support overall, the support that we have for our first responders is magnificent.
It's legit.
And
it should be.
And I will say, if there's something about our county that has spread north to influence our St. Louis County neighbors, that's one of the things that we have done as a very positive movement for the greater metropolitan area as a whole. Because I can remember when I first moved to St. Louis, like in 2000, I've never been to a city like St. Louis.
Yeah.
This city it's an interesting, dynamic, historical.
I grew up in Jefferson County. So like, this is kind of what I know.
Yeah. Well, and me too, like where I'm from.
Yeah.
So I think just the overall cultural movement in the greater metropolitan area of north, south, east, and west of the city, as far as how we treat and respect and honor our first responders,
our heroes,
and treat them as heroes.
Yeah, we call them heroes here, and I'm proud that we call them heroes here.
And I want to give a hand clap to all.
Do you want to give a hand clap or a special cheer?
How about a special cheer?
Right?
Are you going to cheer?
Yay!
So kudos to you, St. Louis. All right, let's move on. Let's have a real estate topic.
Yeah.
Why don't you take it from here? Pick up where we left off last week because there was a lot of feedback.
There was. So last week we talked about kind of that, a lot of people are seeing on Facebook or hearing, marry the house and date the rate. Because
what does that mean? Marry the house, date the rate. Let's
so we had talked about that last week. That a lot of people had so much trouble getting the house that they wanted last year because we were in an environment where prices were where they were and people were just overbidding. So they were paying $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 over the list price just to get the house.
Yeah.
And still losing sometimes because the $80,000 overbid won it, right?
That's crazy.
So, and now.
And these are like normal everyday people homes, 200, 300.
Yeah, these are 300. Yeah, these are not your $1 million homes.
No.
These are $250,000, $300,000 homes that people were buying for $380,000 and $400,000.
Yep.
And they were just losing out and getting frustrated. Well, now there's not as much competition in the market. There's a few more listings. There's less.
A few listings are not selling in 24 hours.
Yeah, so it's not as much competition.
Right.
Now rates are higher, and so people are like, oh, well, the rate's higher now, I just need to wait. And so they're getting out of the market when there's actually a lot of opportunity there right now. So I had a lot of people questioning like, well, you're telling me to get back in the market, but rates are higher. Why would I want to buy now? So, I talked to those people kind of offline because they were asking me like, what do you mean by this? What is it? I don't understand. But I thought it would be good to bring kind of back to the camera and let everybody know how those conversations went, because we were telling people it might be a good time to get back in the market depending on your situation. Right. So as far as, marry the house, date the rate. Well, you can't go back and rebuy the house at a lower payment or you can't go back and buy the house at a lower price. What you buy for, you buy for. But you can go back and refinance if or when it makes sense for you. So that's kind of what we meant by that term.
Right.
Now, I had a few people be like, oh, so just wait out 6 months. And no. These rates are not changing in 6 months. But
I don't, Adana, I don't think these rates are going to change within a few years.
Yeah.
I think we are where we are.
For a while. We very well could be. But
we're going to get used to it.
Right.
This is where we are.
And that's totally fine. Let's put that back into perspective though. So, I kind of like did a little bit of math on it. So this $300,000 house that last year people were willing to spend $350,000, $360,000 for.
Or more.
Yeah. I mean, we had a lot of those. But that $300,000 house at around 5%, which is kind of where rates were last year.
5%
And
interest.
people were like, yeah, this is great. It's 5%,
Let's do it. Yep.
Awesome. We're still low. Now, of course, the year before that, we were way lower, but that was pretty short term. But let's say last year you bought a $300,000 house and you bid $50,000 over.
So 350.
350
at
around
5%.
Around 5%. Approximately your monthly principal and interest is about $1,900, right?
Yep.
So now if we do the same $300,000 house now, where there's not the bidding war, and you get it for $300,000,
or maybe even less,
maybe even
than 300. But
We'll
use
less,
the 300.
But let's keep with that 300.
Okay.
So now let's say we're doing that 300,000, and we're buying around 7%, where the rates, are kind of floating right now. Well, now your payment's around $2,000. So the difference of buying that exact same house could only be about $100 difference.
$100.
So, and these are really just rough numbers, but people are thinking it's hundreds and hundreds more, and it's not necessarily. It's again, it's that difference of overpaying by so much. Well, you're not overpaying by $50,000-$60,000. Your rate is going to be higher, but you're not overpaying. They offset each other more than people think. Where the payment itself, the impact on the payment itself, is not as substantial as people think it is.
Right.
So, and again, 4 years, 5 years down the road, whenever, if it makes sense for you, you can always refinance.
Right.
But you can't go back and buy the house again at a different price. So if you can get into the house that you love now, and you're comfortable with the payment, and you can make that payment.
Yeah, and I think being comfortable is a keyword.
Yeah, it's got to be within your budget.
Yeah, don't make yourself house poor.
No.
You know.
But again, the payment's not much different than it was buying this time last year. People they see that higher rate and they're scared, but they were okay throwing $50,000-$60,000 extra at it last year because of the lower rate.
Yeah,
so they really,
that's right.
They offset each other.
That's right. That's really exactly they were like, well, so first of all, people were bidding so much over on list prices of home because they had to if they wanted to actually move.
Right.
So that's number one. But number two, the way, let's be real. It's human nature, you, me, everybody, that if I really want this, this cup, I want this home, this car, this vacation, this whatever it is, maybe even retirement, I don't know. And people are really good at justifying it, regardless of what circumstances are. But if you're saying to someone, interest rates historically have averaged 8%, and now I can buy this house at 2.5%, 3%, 4%, or 5% like last year, people use that. It's kind of like the buy one, get one. Well, I paid full price for this one because I got one half off. Okay, whatever. But at the end of the day, for everybody that has been in panic mode.
Yeah.
And look, I'll jump on the bandwagon here. Like by the end of April of this year, I was kind of in panic mode because I'm like, oh no, this market is going to shut down. I'm going to have no business, no clients. If I'm ever going to take a year off, this might be the year to do it. And of course, I was wrong because we were both very busy this year.
People buying houses.
There were some definitely some different dynamics. But the bottom line is, even if you bought this house, this $300,000 house for $350,000, let's say 2 years ago at 4%, even still, the difference between paying the 7% now versus the 5 or 4% a year or two ago,
it could be very palatable.
In the grand scheme of things, it's really not that big of a deal. It's not like your payment went from $1,200 to $2,200. It's nothing like that.
Right. Right. And that's excuse me. That was our point of it. We use some rough numbers, round numbers, around 5% for our interest rate, around $1,900.
Right.
The biggest difference that we really wanted to point out there is your difference could be $100.
Right.
Or something that is minimal in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
And if it's getting you into the house that you want and that makes sense for your family, let us do the math for you and actually get to some real numbers and let you know what that looks like.
Now, let's look at it from even like a longevity standpoint.
Sure.
And we didn't pre-talk about this part, so I'm shooting from the hip.
Okay, Rip.
So 2 years ago, a year ago, I buy a house for $350,000. This year, I buy a house for $300,000. 2 years from now, I need to sell. Well, what would I rather? Well, I'll take my sunglasses off for this.
Oh.
What would I rather sell? A house that I owe $300 on and is worth $300, or would I rather sell a house that's I owe $350, but now is only worth $300?
Right.
So you overpaid, right? Well, I shouldn't say overpaid. That's not true. You paid fair market value, and there will be a small percentage of the population that they'll need to move. Job relocation, divorce, someone passes, right? Just life changes.
Yeah.
And, you know, those people are, you know, they're going to have they're definitely going to need to call me to help them sell to get the most money. But those people are going to be in somewhat of a pickle because, yes, they got this great interest rate, but because their house is worth less now, and I'm not saying the difference on a $350,000 house is going to be $50,000 less at $300,000. I'm not saying that. This is all just, you know, we're kind of throwing numbers around to paint a picture of how it's going to go. But again, a year from now, 2 years from now, I'm not going to worry too much about 5 years from now. But you know, within a year or two after you buy a home, if you're or whatever the asset is, if it goes down in value, who gives a damn how great your interest rate is?
Right.
It doesn't matter if you got to sell.
Yeah.
Now, if I bought a $300,000 house for $350,000 and I got it at 5%, 4%, 3% interest, and I'm going to live there for 20 years, hallelujah to you.
Right. Write it out.
You bought a 20-year investment. But in a market like we have, and I'm going to say as of right now, in a market that we have now exited, we are no longer in it.
That's true.
In a market that we have just exited, like in 90 days, we have fully exited that seller's market. I would rather have a home that's more in the line. I would rather buy a home, which I have done this year.
Yes.
And I did buy a home that I felt like I will be able to sell that home for what I paid for it.
Looking at it as a good investment.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. And coincidentally, that's why I sold my other house.
Right.
Because I knew
to sell at the time.
Because I could, you know, exactly.
Capitalize on the maximum values.
I think people get that.
Yeah. So again, we're talking in very
panic.
General terms.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that we can do for you is to run the numbers for you and see if it makes sense for you. Don't be scared. Don't be panicked.
Yeah.
Let us see what your situation looks like and how we can help you meet your goals.
Yeah. And gosh, there's, you know, because a lot of what I do, like you're the numbers guy, and I'm the brick and mortar guy.
Yes.
And so I'm in people's homes. I'm in their kitchens and their backyards and their bedrooms, and I'm hearing their personal stories and things about their life and the memories. And boy, I'm going to tell you, you're not going to be stuck. Okay. This is, I really don't think this is going to be 2008, 9, and 10.
Well, the difference there is most people are locked in at really good rates.
Yeah.
So the rate's not changing. They're not the payment's not changing on them.
Right.
They're at a great rate. Like we said before, if you're going to stay in the house, ride it out. It's an amazing rate. Keep that house, keep the rate, keep your affordable payment.
Yeah.
But if you've got to move and you've got to look at alternatives, you know, just don't panic over it. Don't just push it aside. Let us run the numbers and see what it really looks like for you.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
And so
don't be scared.
Let you run the numbers for a loan, and then I can run numbers as far as, or any member of the brokerage can run numbers as far as, you know, let's see what the value is compared to when you bought it, whether that was 20 years ago or 2 months ago.
Right.
So, well, groovy. That was a good episode, and I'm glad that we followed up on this because, you know, people like to watch sports.
Yes.
Right. They like the action. They like to watch the puck.
Hockey
the ball.
just started. Yeah.
Yeah. They play tonight, by the way. And Blues. But people really pay attention to stats.
They do.
Right. They love the stats. And so basically what we've done today, you know, week after week after week, people are used to hearing us talk about the color, right? You know, when to stage your home, when to sell your home, right? The fun stuff. But, you know, but every once in a while we like to back it up with some actual numbers, some real stats so that people can, you know, take a little bit of a breath and you know, and or just be encouraged to call us.
Yeah.
Give us a call. So cool. Yep. All right. I got to head.
It's Halloween. Don't be scared. Just give
Don't
us
be
a call.
scared. And if you need a ride to the train station, I'm
You
your
don't want
guy.
that kind of ride.
All right. Thank
See
you
you
for
next week.
watching, and we will see you
Next week.
next week.